Hey everybody, Deadpool 2 is now in theaters, and we are here with our in-depth spoiler review. Did Cable, Domino, Peter, and the other newcomers to the sequel help it rise above the very high bar set by the first movie in 2016? We're going to talk all about Deadpool 2. We're also going to get into a lot of other stuff that is not Deadpool related. If you're like, where's ERIK? I don't like this if it's not ERIK. He's on vacation.
Oh
no, Maude killed him, but also he went on vacation. Just let him have this. He works really hard. Yeah. We also are going to talk about, I think, the ending, the shocking twists in the movie. Like I said, it's spoilers, but before we get into that, how about everybody introduce themselves with new Rockstars news host?
Hello, it's me, Sam Bashor. How's everyone doing?
Hi, I'm Maude, Garrett.
Hi.
And your name.
Oh, I'm Tommy Bechtold.
Great.
Mr. Molina?
Yeah.
I don't feel so good.
Okay, well, you're a couple weeks late on that. And
I wasn't invited
Molina.
to review that fun movie.
No, when we take them seriously, you're not welcome. But let's go ahead and get into it. So the highs and lows of the sequel.
Book
so Deadpool
Club
2
was crazy.
Deadpool 2.
Keaton brought it.
Deadpool 2.
Candice Bergen brought it.
We paid for your ticket and you spent it on Book Club?
Yeah, I thought that everyone said
fair.
you gotta see Book Club. They said see the most violent movie in theaters this weekend.
Okay, how about we're going to do a Deadpool 2 review. You can give your same criticisms that are for Book Club.
Okay.
Just say Deadpool 2
You got
each
it.
time.
Deadpool 2 was crazy.
I do like
Candice
the-
Bergen was nuts.
All right, real quick, to get this back on track because we're already off, we're going to dive into the deeper reasons, hopefully, why this film worked and why it came up short in some ways. We'll get to those. Again, this discussion includes spoilers, so be warned. If you haven't seen this movie yet, you can watch Sam's spoiler-free review because it needs views anyway.
Hey.
Then go watch the movie and then meet us back here. He's not the one that gets the views. It's you guys. You gotta watch. So let's start specifically with the elements we liked. What worked really well in specifically Deadpool 2, Tommy?
Okay. So, first of all, I thought the choice of books they all read was crazy. I felt like...
Sam, specific.
I will say that this movie does a lot better on the second watch as well. Like the first watch is obviously really good, but the second one you start to really you know what some of the secret jokes are going to be, so you can kind of pay attention to a lot of the other stuff that's hidden throughout the movie because this movie is packed with Easter eggs. But besides that, this movie, while it's hilarious and the action's amazing because David Leitch, half of John Wick, there's a great joke about that in the opening credits about it. He does a great job with the action, but also the writing, especially Vanessa and Wade's relationship, and his name is Russell in the movie. Russell and Wade's relationship, the way that kind of mirrors Cable and his daughter and what Cable's mission is. It's impressive of how deep this movie actually is, even though you could say it doesn't need to be, but it's the reason why I think the first Deadpool did really well was that you're actually invested weirdly in this testicle-looking man.
And his struggles with cancer, honestly, and his pain of thinking he was gonna die, and then his torture, and that really worked in the first movie. So bringing that over is definitely required.
But they
I think.
just change it up a little bit. They just take a different angle of it,
Yeah.
and the way they're able to parallel Cable's story with Wade's, and the way they're able to intersect.
They have more in common than they thought.
I know.
There's that moment where they really you can make eye contact about how they have stuff in common, and you almost think is he gonna mess it up with a joke or something, and he kind of doesn't. He's just oh dang.
You're right there.
Yeah.
I think in the first movie they spend a lot of time he's the character, it's all about Deadpool and his quips, and I feel like he's bouncing off himself. Yes, he has good moments with T.J. Miller's character and in the cab, and there was back and forth, but it was all him. He was driving all the jokes. It was him and his internal dialogue. Now that you put him with a team, he can bounce off people, and I actually prefer the humor.
Like him and Russell, or him and Domino too.
Exactly. So it's you have contradicting and contrasting characters that are just having this epic dialogue, and I prefer that back and forth than just him kind of being the joke after joke after joke.
I'm surprised that they got so many insular comic book jokes, really in jokes. They make a joke.
The Rob Liefeld joke.
It was Domino's power sounds like someone who was coked up in the 80s who can't draw feet. It's this really specific.
Look it up.
The
Rob
elf
Liefeld
toes.
can't draw feet.
The little elf,
Every
the little
character.
arrows.
It's like
they're this is the only way he can do feet. His characters all stand like this.
what is
Like
it?
heel points.
Green eggs and ham.
They're
It's
just
all of
It's like Dr. Seuss.
Yeah,
He draws them like
exactly.
there's
Dr.
never
Seuss.
toes. They all come to a point.
I've only seen the movie once. I haven't seen it twice. I don't have the in-depth maybe perspective of it. But I thought I love the way they use the music in the fight scenes. I always think the music.
Tommy, are you talking about book club or are you talking about Deadpool 2?
The way she threw that book.
Talking about Avengers Infinity War.
Sounds like you're talking about Thor Ragnarok.
So like the rap songs, you mean?
No, I mean like using Dolly Parton's 9 to 5.
Oh, right.
was really funny.
Which has a joke in it that like is like subtle, right? What a way to make a living.
Yeah.
Like this is his job, is like going around killing pedophiles.
I don't know. It always sticks out to me as it's like funny, but it's also like it's really catchy. Like it's like perfect top 40 radio, which is the most like I think expert way to score or have a soundtrack for a Deadpool movie.
You think Dolly Parton's currently in the top 40?
Well, it was at one point, Filup.
Yes. How old are you again, Tommy?
I am 49, which still makes me probably too young to enjoy that song.
You are Sam's dad. That's what you
Dolly
are.
Parton, my friend.
That's great though. Yeah, they're like purposely they like did that in the first movie, but they kind of like just reinvented how action scenes can work.
And then the Juggernaut song that was set to a chorus where
you have to wait to the very end of the movie, even though there's no like post credit scene.
Yeah.
That song was worth waiting the entire time
to hear the words of it.
Yeah, because when they're just going through in one of the final segments and hearing the song, that was funny enough. But then when they play it completely uninterrupted, it was amazing.
So a lot of the feedback that the movie's getting is that this movie is on par with the first. Some people saying it's a little bit better. Some people saying it's not as good as the first. Where do you guys stand with that?
Well, real quick, I haven't said like what I liked about it, but I'll use it as a transition to that. I think that the movie, I think they do need those moments with him and Vanessa. Otherwise, I think it would be like, why do I care about anything that's happening right now? But I'll say that action-wise, it is on par, and in some ways, you could tell that they actually like they opened the Marvel vault and they're like, here's our real budget. And like this is how Marvel movies should look, and there was a lot more action, a lot more going on. So I felt like that was a step up. In some ways, I say what was a step down is the creativity that they had with like we don't have budget on the first one, so we're gonna do this highway thing like in every twisted way we can just to make it like fascinating. And this one, like once they do have the budget, it's like let's do the thing on the highway where they're trying to get the prisoner who's in the caravan, and it's like we've seen they get a little less creative in that. But also the moments with Domino kind of made up for that. I thought those are like Rube Goldberg style of like killing.
So cool.
That's fascinating. That's very creative. So I feel like those things are on the way up from the last one. I'll say what was on the way down a little bit to transition over to what issues we had and whether or not you thought this was better than the last one. For me, there's a couple, but the two that really stand out is one, I like hate to admit it, but I think the joke success rate is significantly lower than in the first one, where the first one had a pretty high average, but I also think it's because they took less swings at bat. You know, they were like, you know what, I got a perfect joke here, I'm going to say it. This one was more like the comic, where it's like Deadpool is just kind of every single line he says is a joke, and in the comic, he's not that funny.
No.
Because, in fact, all the characters are just always annoyed by him because they're like, you only say these things that don't matter. So I think they took more swings, which meant they had more misses. And the other thing is, they really tried to get emotional there at one point, and it was so late in the film that I kind of feel like you kind of you have to either commit to like sometimes Deadpool really does care about things, and that's a rhythm we can get used to of him caring, or he never does, because instead, I don't know if you guys felt this, but there was a rhythm of like he's always going to be a smartass, he's always not going to care, and then at the end when it's like, you know, when he's dying and also things with Vanessa, you kind of had this like feeling like he's about to make a quip, isn't he? He's about to like undercut this moment. And it kept feeling like that was about to happen, and then it didn't sometimes, and instead of feeling like, oh, because it matters, it felt a little bit like, oh, because they chose like, well, this something needs to matter to him, and it felt like a little too late. So there's two things: the humor's a little below, and I think that the heart moments only kind of work.
Like they weren't earned, or they felt like shoehorned a little bit.
They felt like a requirement in order, because they knew like we need to give him something he cares about, and I don't think they served it up in an organic, like authentic way of like he actually. The only thing I buy is that he actually loves Vanessa. Which should be enough, but a lot of the movie is about how much he cares about the kid, and that seems kind of like
actually because I had the chance to see this twice. The second viewing kind of helps. Humble brag. It does kind of help streamline this, because I was on the same page with you after the first viewing. I was like, the emotional beats. I'm a sucker for any like good slow down version of a pop song. So Take On Me comes on. I'm like, oh god.
Yeah.
It was
you
so
crying?
Yes, I was. It was like I was like
His eyes are sweating.
but no, it did get to me. But on the second viewing, you kind of see there's more of a through line happening throughout the movie, and actually the use of music does a really good job of kind of giving the cues of when like maybe there's an internal struggle going on for Wade, like especially during the prison scene where you can see that like he's trying to push Russell away from him, so he's like they don't have like he doesn't want him.
Please
like,
use his
mixed up
real
in his
name,
business.
Ricky Baker.
Ricky Baker.
Thank
Sorry,
you.
Ricky Baker. Nah, I can't do a Zealand accent. I'm sorry. But second
shut
viewing
that down
does kind of
immediately.
iron out. It kind of irons out some of those problems, unless it doesn't. Like for me, it did. But I just wanted to put that out there.
Yeah, I don't love when they solve it with post production though too. You know what I mean? Like I want it to be there in the shoot.
That's fair.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
I didn't love. I really liked the movie. I think I was telling you before we started filming. I wasn't a super fan of the first one. I liked it a lot, but
Yeah, I
I
get
wasn't
that.
that excited.
I loved it.
I liked it when I just wasn't that like pumped for it to come out. And I wasn't a huge fan of the comics, so like when I saw, I was pleasantly surprised how much I liked the first one, and I liked this one as well. But I did think like after a while, it wears down on you when he's commenting so much on the quality of the movie. Like when he's like, and now an overblown CGI fight. And you're like, okay, but I think they put those jokes in because they're more digestible for an audience of non-comic book fans. And I thought there were a lot more of those jokes that were like, oh, this is a joke for like everyone, not necessarily people who like know the inside and out of comic books or even just like the cartoons or anything of these characters. So I thought there was the jokes maybe broadened out a little bit in this movie too as well. They were still funny, but I agree definitely with your point, Philip, that there was a lot more. They definitely made a lot more jokes that didn't land as hard in this one.
Yeah, like the first one, I felt like I had to like watch the movie multiple times so I could catch it. And
Right.
even then, you'd still be laughing at the same jokes,
Yeah.
and you're missing
Yeah.
the jokes that are like in the background. I agree, but no, you guys are both right.
I don't know. My cinema was laughing. Everyone was like down for a good time.
Yeah, I kind of heard that though, but I felt like there was a little bit of like, we like this, right,
Yeah.
guys? Like a little
It's
bit
like
trying
seeing
to
a Disney movie at El Capitan where like everyone's like they have to go like
clap.
ah!
Yeah,
like,
they
you see Star Wars
woo.
there and they're like whoa for
Yeah.
everything.
Something that
Yep,
you
that's
said.
me.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Cries in the front row.
Something that and wipes his face with money. Something that you pointed out, though, I think is interesting. There's two things actually. The calling out the film itself. So in the first movie, there's a lot of like calling out the superhero genre and the flaws
X-Men.
within it, and that's very fun. And I think we all reacted to that. And this one, it has those jokes, and then it also has jokes about this movie itself being bad. Like multiple times, he makes a joke of lazy writing, but also it's kind of like, yeah, that is kind of
Right.
lazy
Or when,
writing.
Highlighting
or when he
its
goes
flaws.
like there's a steaming pile of foreshadowing.
Yeah, and it
You're like,
really undercut kind
okay.
of that moment. So it's weird when they turned it against themselves instead of being like, maybe don't have lazy writing. Maybe call out a different movie that had lazy writing. But another thing that I think is why this movie might hit people a little differently than the first one. Again, to be clear, we're in the section where we were explaining gripes, which is the only reason we're being negative. I think we
Right.
I'll
mostly
give it a
liked
B plus,
it.
A minus.
Yeah.
Yes.
I really liked it.
A minus.
But I
Yeah.
think overall, what's
I love it.
what's going to happen culturally,
5.
5 out of B. What's
2
happening
fives?
culturally is the last movie came out right before Batman v Superman, and we had been inundated with those ads at that time, and we were just like, oh man, this looks like it's gonna be really dark. And right before it comes out, Deadpool comes out and is like,
Pull my
forget
finger.
that. Like that is
Yeah.
so stupid to take this seriously.
Right.
And so it was like the perfect timing. And now swing over to here, we're in a very similar situation, but instead of the dark DC movie, we just had a very dark Marvel movie.
Yeah.
And we're all like, wait, no, but we are kind of really taking this seriously and really sad. And now it's trying to be like, aren't these movies stupid? And it's like, kinda, but also my friends are dead.
I think it does a good job, though, with its emotional beats to kind of bring it back down. Even though they have the jokes, they can make fun of it. Also, way more just insular Marvel comic book jokes, but also MCU jokes. They're like Winter Soldier arm, they mentioned that. There's a lot of jokes about dubstep, and I feel like we're like 6 years too late.
Yeah.
And then he makes that joke at the very end where he's
Yeah.
like 3 things. 1, people are gonna have to Google dubstep.
Yeah, exactly. Which feels like an added joke. Yeah.
Because like they made that joke and they're like, crap. Like I don't think I've listened to like they played Skrillex and I was like, oh yeah, I don't like dub. I used to like dubstep, but I don't
Yeah.
anymore. But overall, I'm okay with those fourth wall breaking jokes. But you're definitely right that sometimes you're like sitting there.
Highlighting the
I know I'm
negatives.
supposed to laugh, but I'm like,
This movie feels like 2 hours.
Yeah.
It is, and
Yeah.
it feels like it. So it's a little bit like, oh, we didn't need a list of 3 every time you go to make a joke. How about just the top one?
they actually, I just remember that they even copied the first one even more. Because we were talking before this, both movies are pretty similar. I know you had like an analogy for it, but
Ice cream.
there's even like a point when in the first movie, what was the main villain? Francis, when he stabs Wade in the head, and then like music gets all romantic, and he starts like hallucinating and
With the
everything.
little unicorn.
With the little
yeah.
cartoons,
Yeah.
Yes.
And in this movie, same thing happened but Colossus is the one that came and like saved him, which was great. But I'm just realizing how similar
repeated
these two
beats.
movies
Got it.
are, which again isn't bad.
If it's not broken, don't fix it.
Yeah,
Is my thing.
I get that. Just as we wrap up, I want to get back on the positive train for a sec.
Yes.
Just because we're leaving out, we barely discussed this, and it's so important, I think. The addition of Domino and Cable to this
Yes.
universe is like so worthwhile. And real quick, also, one of the best scenes in any superhero movie recently is the launching of the X-Force out into the real world, and they all are immediately killed.
Yeah, but, like you can feel it though, but that's one of the, even though this movie takes a lot of jokes and they don't always hit
Yeah.
it, that is such a great payoff for like
Loved
there's a
it.
wind advisory. There's a wind
Yeah,
advisory.
I keep them
Because it shouldn't mean anything. It's just there's a wind advisory. In all these movies, they skydive at any point. It never
Yeah.
matters. And just that shot when he like looks over and you just see them spinning.
Yeah, they're my guys. Yeah.
And also, it's like there's a chance. I will say there's a chance Bedlam's not dead because there's a woman giving him CPR that like
Yeah.
he might not be dead,
Right.
but he's probably dead. Like Shatterstar, Vanisher, that was a great
That
cameo.
was awesome.
Which
If
actually,
you caught that cameo, it'll be in the breakdown if you didn't.
well, actually, I found out how they did that, or someone has a theory that David Leitch, because he and the co-director for John Wick were both stunt people, stunt individuals, and David
Women.
Leitch was Brad Pitt's stunt double for
That's
like
what it
a
is.
couple movies, so they're friends. Also, really quick, when Cable does his time jump to the past, those two random people who are obviously in makeup, one of them you're like,
one's
that's-
clearly Alan Tudyk.
the other one
Is in a lot of makeup. Who
He's
is
in a
that?
lot- okay, so he also had a cameo in an MC movie that came out last year, starring Chris Hemsworth.
Why don't you just tell us?
Remember there were 3 cameos.
Matt Damon?
Yes, it's Matt
Oh,
Damon.
is it man.
A lot of people caught it online. I'm like, that I could not tell.
I
but
was trying to like take off the makeup in my head.
After 2 viewings, I still couldn't figure out. People were saying that's Matt Damon and Alan Tudyk right there, which is like that's amazing.
Yeah.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I love that he
mention
won't
that.
do a full MCU or Marvel movie, but he'll do cameos.
Cameos
Every
all the way
Kimmel
through
will let
it.
He's
him.
the new Stanley.
I love him as
But
Loki.
Cable and Domino, real quick, let's
Yes.
give them their due.
Yes.
What'd you guys think of them?
Well, the heaviest moment I ever noticed the CGI was Domino's like first like the car crash scene, which is not knocking it. It's awesome, but I really enjoyed her taking down the pedophiles in the orphanage.
Man,
like,
yeah.
that was such a weird sentence I just said.
Yes, it was.
But like that was such a cool way of showing luck in a more grounded way that felt more true to how David Leitch could direct. It was like, yeah, do hand-to-hand combat, but it's like she's basically just taking all the luck out of the room, and they're getting every bout of bad
Everything
luck.
that could, it's
Yeah.
more. I can in those things. I can give you the worst luck.
Yes,
I-
absolutely.
Yeah.
I feel like with her and her powers, it's so refreshing in the superhero genre. We haven't really seen anything like this, and like we have seen how many heroes in the last Infinity War? Like
5.
We are seeing so many different powers thrown at us all the time, but this one for me was super refreshing because it kind of challenged you in a way where it's not dwam bam, thank you ma'am. It was like, wow, this is actually really, really clever.
Yeah, I think it actually sets up a really interesting sequel thing with her, but I'll bring that up later.
More dumb,
And
please.
Cable. No,
Domino.
I was surprised.
Dummy,
like,
yes.
like Josh Brolin obviously was going to kill it, but also I love the design of his time slider, like all
Yeah.
the little gears and everything.
That was really cool.
That was super cool, and the way he would interface with technology was
Yeah.
like, we're getting a quick idea of like what his powers are. It's like something probably telekinetic. We didn't have any telepathy or anything like that. That's fine. You don't need to add the whole gambit of powers to him. But also, it's like he's very capable of making weapons.
Cable.
Gambit. He did not show up in this movie.
Cable.
That was a bummer.
Gambit's cameo was awesome. You couldn't tell he was also in makeup.
He was the
He played
he was
the
the
little
car.
boy.
Gambit
Oh,
is Matt Damon.
Cable, Domino, final thoughts?
Yes. Oh, okay. What was I gonna say? Forget. I like Cable the way that his personality unfolded gradually from like Killing Machine when he was first introduced, who's like basically T-1000. Like he just comes down, travels through time, wants to kill the kid, and then by the end, you find out why, and he even starts getting in on the quip game with everybody, because it's like, okay, if he's going to be part of this universe in future movies, which I think obviously they've set up that he will be, he has to play along with the genre of the movie. So I like that they didn't just have him immediately start firing back barbs at Deadpool. That at first he was kind of this literally robotic killing machine, and then very gradually developed into a character. Yes,
yeah,
and
I love that
really
as well.
clever, and not I don't think it was a rushed payoff for that at all.
Yeah.
I mean, Josh Brolin can do no wrong. I feel like he's in a
Exactly.
point in his career where he avoided the superhero genre for so long, and then he's like, all right, I'm all in. I've
double
run
dip.
out of and I'm all for the money. And he's just, honestly, the less you care, the better it is. And I feel like that's what's happening. He's just all my friends are doing it. This is what I talked to him about for Infinity War. He's like, I'm working with all the people that I've worked with before, and everyone's in this movie, and this is where it's at the moment. So let's dive in and do it.
That's
and
so
you can
cool.
kind of just tell that he's just gloves off,
That's
let's
so
just
cool.
do it. And he was so great in Infinity War, and he's so great and so different in this. And you're
Right.
he's such a good actor, and he's just bringing it.
I like that he's also he's 50 or pushing in the mid 50s, but he's very physical with his action, which I
So
thought was
Tommy.
really cool. Hi, Tommy.
Huh?
Similar, almost same
He's
age.
dead.
Oh, yeah.
His hearing's going.
That's right.
You went to high school together.
But no,
I'm a few years older than him.
Rolling with Brolin.
the way they realized a lot of his physical attributes were really cool, and the way
God, that
they
skin seam.
that was, and
yeah.
it looked at least they obviously heightened most practical effects with visual effects, but that looked for the most part a lot of
Really cool.
practical makeup on his chest, which was really cool. And I'm excited for more. I want them to kind of dive into. They didn't even explain what's happening, but you're it's from the future.
How did Josh
Yeah.
Brolin lose his arm, and how convenient was that for the movie?
Let us know how you think he lost his arm in the comments below, but
An
also what you
explosive
thought
high
about
five.
Deadpool 2. And check out our other videos breaking down the movie's post-credit scenes, and obviously be on the lookout for an entire full movie breakdown, because they snuck in a lot of Easter eggs that are to obscure comics, but then also, of course, to the entire world of pop culture. So you'll just have to look out for that probably in the next week. What we do have, though, is a trivia question for everyone. So if you guys can have your tiny versions of cards.
Whoa.
Don't
Wow.
judge them. It's how you use the card. We are going to ask a trivia question. The winner of the trivia question will get to... I think deliver the news stories at the end.
Sure.
I don't like that bye thing. But anyway, and then the
I'm terrible
loser
at it.
is going to have to do something very difficult at the end of the show. But here's our trivia question. Are you guys ready?
Yes.
All right, you can play along in the comments below, and we'll just have to trust that you didn't skip to the end of the episode or Google it. All right. In Deadpool 2, Negasonic Teenage Warhead is referred to by nicknames like Justin Bieber and Eleven. What is the first nickname we hear Deadpool call her in the first Deadpool movie? And we're back. I got permanent marker all over my hand. We got trivia question answers in. You can enter them in the comments below. But let's go ahead and move on in the meantime. We are going to do a quick update on a Flash news story. That sounds like it's going to be about the Flash, but I just mean we're just going to talk about it very quick. It's about Star Wars, actually. Jon Favreau, we all know, is doing a TV series, but we just found out a little bit more about it. It's actually going to be a live-action TV series set between the events of Return of the Jedi and The Force Awakens.
Nice. There's a chunk of time there, so that makes sense.
Is this going to be on ABC or what kind of?
Probably the Disney streaming app. I think that's what they're aiming for.
Yeah, hopefully. So there's a 30-year gap there after the Battle of Endor and then the First Order's devastation of Hosnian Prime. So a lot of the Legends novels actually take place during that time, including Aftermath, which the ones that they are released right before the movie. But then that's not Legends.
They're
but
not
then there
Legends.
are Legends ones.
Yeah. All the new stuff. So
Yeah, the new book, Lost Stars. Those are not Legends.
Doop, doop. I got this one from here. So obviously when they wiped the slate and they started all new novels with canon, it all takes place basically as soon as the Death Star blows up and the aftermath of what that meant for the Empire. So it's the shift there. Lost Stars is my favorite one. It's written by Claudia Gray.
It's a love story.
It is a love story. It's a bit of a Romeo and Juliet, but it's between a TIE Fighter pilot from the Empire and someone who actually defects and goes over to the rebellion. So there's a lot happening there, and I'm wondering which one they're going to do, or if they're going to actually take on a whole new story.
We'll have to watch and see which ones they do. Also, if they do actual Legends books too, because there's also other good stories that they could take from there.
They ain't touching that.
But moving on to more Deadpool.
Yay!
All right, everybody. So with Deadpool 2 now in the world and out there, a lot of people are talking about the way that the movie ends and those really amazing post-credit sequences. ERIK actually already made a breakdown of those scenes that you should definitely go check out. But here, we're going to talk about the way that Deadpool 2's ending sets up a potential situation for the upcoming Deadpool sequels and where we think that might go. So is there a Deadpool trilogy or even more? How will Domino or Cable play into it? Let us know you guys' thoughts.
It obviously depends on how much money the movie makes.
Well,
it's going to make enough money.
It's going to make enough money
sure.
for at least Drew Goddard's X-Force movie, because that's what they're definitely setting up.
Good.
But I'm going to be bummed if Peter doesn't show up for just like a second. Like, can he be the guy in the chair? We set up that joke in Spider-Man Homecoming. It's the guy in the chair. Peter gets to do that, or at least he brings brownies for everybody.
Can
like
he turn into a
has.
supervillain?
I mean,
that'd be so good.
A lot of people thought he was going to be Pete Wisdom from the comics, he's not that.
No, it's so much better that he's not.
It's so much better that he's not. So he's a guy who can like shoot laser knives out of his fingers.
Yay.
I like
don't
laser
want that.
knives.
I don't want that for Peter though. I want him to be
He's better than
happy.
that.
His
Yeah.
Twitter's amazing. I just want that life for him.
There's no way they're not making a Deadpool 3 also, though. Like that. I mean, I don't know if they'll make more than that, because I don't think anyone's going to play Deadpool besides Ryan Reynolds. If not, unless, I mean, for a long time, unless they introduce some sort of strange spin-off. But like, I think that they'll make 3, and they'll definitely make X-Force. So those will.
And then pivot.
And they talked about, or Ryan Reynolds mentioned that in a third Deadpool movie, if it happened, like hypothetically, that he'd want it to be smaller than this. Like, because this is big. There's a lot of people.
Lot of people.
Lot of people.
Yeah, luckily they killed off so many characters. But talking about the characters that are still there, we still have Domino, we have Negasonic Teenage Warhead, we have Yukio now, we have Fire Fist,
favorite joke.
and that's your favorite joke?
His favorite.
Oh, yeah.
That's my favorite joke too.
And Colossus, and then obviously Peter. So which of these characters do we expect to definitely return?
Yukio.
Colossus.
Yukio.
Right? It feels like they were setting that up.
Honestly, I think the one that could carry and pivot, like if they were to focus on one character and like give Ryan Reynolds a break, Domino. I think there's a lot fledged out there, and I think that she could really carry the franchise.
With a lot of people like asking for more female-centric like superhero movies, Domino would be a really smart decision. Like, because you could also like you could take some of the like strong female characters you already have, like Negasonic and longest name ever, and Yukio, but you could also take in everybody else. Like we didn't even mention, but the X-Men little cameo was amazing in this movie. So you could maybe even borrow some characters from there.
True.
It wouldn't be a bad idea.
One of my favorite ideas that I was just sitting there in watching Deadpool 2, and I was thinking, Domino seems unstoppable. And I think that actually that'd be an interesting thing to portray in the next movie. She also, in a way, can relate to Deadpool in that she can't really die either, at least not if it's not by her own choosing, right? Like if she wants to make it out of a situation, she will every single time. So I was like, how do we actually follow that thread and figure out what is her worst case scenario so that she does maybe die? And just my Brian up in here, I have a little guy named Brian in here, like Men in Black style, and he thinks for me. But he told me in my head that I'm a bad boy. But then he also gave me that,
you have the same Brian as I have.
Yeah, you're never gonna make it. You're a failure. But he also told me, what about the idea of Domino set up in a situation where it actually would be better for her to die? Or a situation where it's more lucky for her to let someone she cares about a lot die.
Where the world would be better off if she died.
or just like if I'm either gonna die instantly or I'm gonna be a burn victim and have to suffer a lot of pain or whatever. Like there are scenarios where it'd be luckier to just die, or it'd be luckier, for instance, if it's between her and her girlfriend or boyfriend or something like that, and like it's more lucky for her for them to die. There's just ways to like make it a very dark situation for her.
Exactly. You have to find her kryptonite, because that's the interesting part. Like, what is it that could bring her down? And I think that's an interesting part. It becomes more
From
mental
Brian up here.
and emotional. But I think, finding, if there's like a dude that rocks up, it's like, hi, I'm probability. And it's like, no,
exactly, kind of.
Well, in comics, it's usually never just like everything happens and it's good for her. It's always just at the last second. It's like, and she falls out of a car, she doesn't die, but she breaks her arm. And it's like, so it's luck, but it's not like wish granting. So
Yes.
Here
if you
it
kind of
felt like it was.
Yo,
I need a
100%.
bus. Yeah.
But like you could dial it back a little bit, which wouldn't hurt this movie in any way. It's just like, no, it doesn't mean everything works out. It's like I'm still gonna get hit. I'm still gonna maybe get shot, but I can still survive and I can still help people.
I can get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think she was a bit overpowered, or was Cable more overpowered?
Domino.
Cable's not very overpowered. I thought actually in some ways it felt like they held back on what Cable could do. Domino is definitely technically overpowered, but it worked out in the movie because she wasn't the main protagonist. But it would be interesting in her own movie.
Yeah.
Really quick about Cable, though, for those of us that read the comics, obviously Cable and Deadpool have a lot of story that could be told there. Do you guys think that's going to be in the sequels?
I wonder that the other scenario I thought, because they could do so much with that, but I also thought now they could have used this movie as a way to just introduce him into the X-Men universe now, because he is, Scott Summers' son. So it's like he could appear in, Dark Phoenix, which is done shooting, but he may have already shot scenes for that people don't know about because he's now introduced in this movie. And it would kind of make
That would work
tonally,
completely.
it would really
You'd rather him be in that situation where he fits a little better than
I think
Cable
so,
and
but that's just
Deadpool.
for me. That's like a selfish thing of
Well,
like,
he's a great character
I
in
understand.
that whole storyline. Yeah.
I understand why people would want him in Deadpool movies, but like it definitely takes away from the insanity of Deadpool if Cable's there, which is maybe not a bad thing, but if people like the silliness of the movies, Cable is a downer. He is.
I like the buddy cop. I want another buddy cop thing.
Yeah.
I want you to have that, Maude.
Thank
but
you.
I just don't know.
I
if
think
Better
it'll
than Scott
happen.
Summers' dad. Hello, son. Ooh.
Or son, yeah, but
Stop trying to have sex with Sansa.
I don't know if that was necessarily what I was pointing towards,
okay.
but I
We read
I think
between
it
the lines.
was, yeah. That's what,
you guys know my thoughts on Game of Thrones and sex, so if it comes to Sansa Stark, it's the same thing as Jon Snow, and it's no condoms ever. No.
we'll just cut this out.
Yeah. No. I think leave it in.
Well, yeah, you're right. We can use it against you in a court of law later. Yeah.
There's gonna be so much more worse evidence than that.
All right, how about this? Those sound like our predictions, so let us know what you guys have as predictions for the future
Baby
of the
on the
Deadpool
way for
franchise.
Sansa. That's my prediction.
In the comments below, just fill it with ideas for Deadpool 3 and so on and so on. All right, but also it's time for another quick news update. It's the other big news I thought of this week. Marvel head Kevin Feige, he revealed that along with Captain Marvel, the MCU is now definitely going to introduce the character Kamala Khan, Miss Marvel. So Khan is actually a Pakistani-American teen who would be the first Muslim-American movie superhero. I don't know if you saw on Twitter, actor Riz Ahmed
that's right.
hit up the others. He said to Mindy Kaling and Kumail Nanjiani that, hey, are we gonna be in this movie? Let's get this movie
They wanted
made.
to write the script.
Yeah, they want to write the script. I just think that'd be amazing, honestly. Especially the cast that he already started to line up. So just really excited about that. Maybe keep a lookout for maybe a little more about who Miss Marvel is on this channel. All right, everybody. This week, comedian and nerd guru Patton Oswalt posted a very fascinating theory about the origin of the Joker, the version portrayed by Heath Ledger in The Dark Knight. I don't know if you guys saw this. So Ledger's Joker famously has no origin. He tells a lot of conflicting stories of his past in the movie, and everyone has their own theory of which one's real. But a lot of people recently have started to think that maybe he's actually a soldier who is suffering from PTSD. He does make a specific reference to a lot of soldiers being killed in a truck explosion. But now Patton Oswalt has added a lot onto this idea. If instead of a just general soldier, he's actually a military intelligence officer. And the reason he was able to kind of figure this out is he was taking a look at that interrogation scene between him and Batman. And he's using a lot of kind of CIA mastery of interrogation techniques. So specifically, there are moments where you notice that when he's talking about knowing the squealers, and then when he sees them, it's almost as he's been trained to identify the people that would speak to the CIA or be potentially, for instance, if he's in Iraq, people that might switch on their side and be able to leak information to him. But also he uses a specific CIA tactic called reversal, and it's when he's directing Batman in their own scene with each other, he actually is controlling the conversation. He's walking him through the steps that he specifically says, never start with the head, the victim gets all fuzzy, kind of a reference to the way that he's done his own interrogations. So I guess that could be a origin story for this version of the Joker, not the Joker just in general. We have lots of different takes on that. So I just want to know what you guys think. Do you guys think that this makes sense for specifically the Joker in The Dark Knight, that he worked in the CIA as an interrogator?
Yeah,
Why not?
He's smart. He's so smart, and he has like a lot of knowledge on the subject. And like the power of manipulation comes from being able to understand people in a psychological sense. And I think that this makes sense. And also, you want to know how I got these scars? What if he pulled the pin from a grenade and ripped his face?
Oh God, he's bad at
That's
pulling
a
the pin.
sharp grenade.
Yay!
Like, you
It's so
can just
true.
do it
I'm
with your
not supposed to-
hands, right? No, I only do it with my mouth.
Whoops.
I also think that given
Holding a knife?
his roughly what his estimated age would be in the movie, that type of like psychosis and depth would indicate someone who's lived a lot of life in a few years. So like something like being in the military.
Because he's
would
still a
make lot
young
of sense.
man too.
Right.
Yeah.
Was he 28 when he filmed it?
I don't know, but yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, he probably was
Yeah.
very young. Yeah.
Yeah, and I think the character doesn't come across as like a man any older than 30.
So what could have turned him so bad? Unless he started as a psychopath,
Right.
From
And it just
from
it
being young,
escalated
yeah.
from there. But no, that's actually a really cool. That's almost the perfect way to ground the Joker to be a good foil for Batman, because Batman, like he can take on a common crook, common thief, because he's not really dealing with the psychological aspects of that person. He's just punching them and then
thug.
leaving.
Right.
And that's, if you really want to dive into that, that's awful. But like when it comes to the Joker, you need someone who is 50 steps ahead of Batman, and not just in the sense of like that's just a throwaway line you always hear. You're like, oh, he just must be so smart. It's like, no, he knows who this person is, and if he doesn't know exactly, as soon as they walk in the room, he can just ask the specific like 3 questions that he needs, and he can immediately pinpoint what kind of person Batman is, who Bruce Wayne is,
Right.
and know how to play the game.
How to manipulate him exactly as needed. And actually, yeah, like who else could keep up with Batman unless someone specifically trained in these like mental games?
Yeah, like comic books are fun because you can be like, well, he's crazy, and so he's like super sane, or he sees reality
Super
from
sane,
a,
yeah.
he sees reality from a different point of view. It's like, okay, let's try to tell a story that everyone can like get
Yeah.
on board with, and then you pick something that we can actually somewhat grasp, and it's someone who is trained to
Right.
read people and manipulate them.
And I
Right.
think that that's Batman's like weakness when you think about it. He's got all the gear and the gadgets. He's got the physical strength. He's got the brute force. Bam! He's a detective, so he can read clues. But clues are usually not emotional clues; they're physical clues. So here, it's all in the head, and I don't think that's where Bruce actually has figured it out completely. And so I think, yeah, Joker can just come in here and just be like, I can read you like a book, and I can literally make your mind putty.
Right.
So-
Yeah, so maybe a psychiatrist would also be an interesting potential origin. But if you throw in the fact that he knows his way around military hardware too,
Yeah.
it does make sense.
He's deadly.
It comes from there.
Tommy?
All right, I think that's a very fascinating thing that works specifically also. You okay, Tom?
Oh, I was also kicking the question over to the other Tommy. That
Oh,
was
okay. All right. Do you have more to add? Sorry.
I had no. I said my thing. I'm very happy with what I said. Comment below if you're also happy with what I said.
I just think it makes perfect sense for specifically the Nolan version of,
Yes, I
of
think so,
Batman
too.
and the
I agree
Joker,
with that.
not for really any others, because Nolan needed to ground everyone in his movies. But moving on, it's very exciting because it's. Give me a sounds.
Lightning round.
Lightning round. Splash, splash, splash. Kapow. Splash.
Ice.
Honk,
Thunder
honk,
sounds,
honk,
please.
Splash.
All right.
Karuga.
So we got these from you guys by tweeting at New Rockstars every Friday. We open it up to you guys to ask us questions directly, but we don't get to prepare, so we just throw these out at people and we aim them at them like quick lightning. Tommy,
Yeah, lay it on me, baby.
if Deadpool interviewed you for his super duper F group, what would you say is your superpower?
Oh.
At Guau BC.
Oh, asking mommy and daddy to pay my cell phone bill. I'll get everyone's cell phone bills paid.
That's your superpower.
He's the communication guy.
Now, who asked that?
That was at GUAUBC. Guau BC.
Guau BC. Okay, good question, Guau BC. Also, like I would just be like real good at kicking too. Kicking and cell phone bills.
Sam, this is from at Nerd Pepper. Would you choose to be at Xavier's School for Gifted Students or at Hogwarts for one school term?
Can I get Hogwarts? Because I like
Hogwarts,
that.
yeah.
I go with Xavier. You crazy? I want to be an X-Men.
Do you have mutant powers?
No, but I'm not a wizard either, so both are not going to be
You're
great
a
for
wizard,
me.
Ari.
What if you haven't found out yet? You're like a DeVry wizard.
Hogwarts. Hogwarts for me. Oh,
I know, because
Maude, you get your own question. Wait, sorry. About Hogwarts, actually.
Yo.
From at Kenzie Hagedorn, our friend. Which Hogwarts houses do you think the original Avengers are each in?
Okay.
The original Avengers. So let's remind it.
Thor is 100%. Oh, yeah, you can tell me who to do.
Thor, Iron Man.
Iron Man is Slytherin.
Hawkeye.
Is Ravenclaw.
Lives in Hagrid's
Okay, because he's
Canton.
a hawk. Black Widow.
She's Ravenclaw.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The
Captain
Hulk.
America. Hulk is.
Hufflepuff.
He's a little bit Hufflepuff, but he's just
smart,
got a temper. He's
though.
got a temper in a temper. He's either he's like Gryffindor / Slytherin, I think. Slytherin. He's green.
And Captain America.
Hufflepuff.
Great.
Wait, but Bruce Banner is Ravenclaw.
Oh, that's being interesting.
Captain
They're
America
different-
is so Hufflepuff. He's a stickler for the rules.
But he's also
Nah.
brave.
So is Gryffindor.
Ask me my question.
I would love to. Philip, this
Yes.
one is from at DKS_films. If you could transfer one character from Marvel or DC to the other universe, who would it be and why?
Ooh, one character.
One character.
From one to the other. Okay.
Yeah, swap either Marvel to DC or DC to Marvel.
Marvel needs better villains. I feel like, oh man, the Joker in Marvel would be chaotic and kill people for real. But
Oh my gosh,
if
the
you went
Joker and
the
Tony
other
Stark
way,
talking.
Joker and Kilgrave.
Working together, that'd be interesting. Oh man, but could you imagine if you just like threw like Superman
Lightning.
into Marvel?
They
Oh
do.
yeah. Anyway,
Lightning.
the Joker.
Joker.
Cell phone bills.
Yeah, kicking. All right, let's go ahead and move on to our next segment in the pipeline for videos coming out this week. We got some secret ones that we're still working on, but the ones that we can talk about, the very obvious ones, we have a Deadpool Easter egg breakdown coming out. We have another Deadpool video. You'll see what it is soon. And then obviously, guys, it's almost solo time.
Oh,
Yeah,
I
so
love
we'll be hitting
soloing.
solo. Yeah, you go solo all the time.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right, so keep a lookout for those.
Life.
Yeah. But before we get to our trivia answers, we all get our 15-second shout-outs. So let's go ahead and start with our guest for the week, Tommy.
Hi, soon-to-be permanent host Tommy Bechtold here. I guess my shout-out is to this next Tuesday will be the final episode of ABC's The Middle. It's been on for 9 seasons, and they're ending their run. After a triumphant run 5 years ago, they made one of the best decisions of their lives and inserted me into their show. So that has been a pleasure, and I'm very proud of being a part of that show, but also the bigger show is impressive in its own right. So check out the final episode of that at 8:30 p.m. on Tuesday.
That's so good. I
And he's not
can't
going to
top
tell you
that.
if he's in it.
I'm not in it.
Okay,
I'm
he's
not.
going to
I
tell
don't-
you that he's not in it.
I do not
being
appear
in
in
it.
it.
But go back a couple episodes you were in.
Yeah.
There's one all about you.
Yeah, those.
They got to the middle of you.
Yeah, they really found the middle.
The Brian of
They
you.
found the middle.
The
How
caramel
many
center.
licks it took?
It took a lot. I mean, I could have just taken one, but I was very patient.
Maude.
Overwatch, they are doing a really cool charity thing with Mercy. So you can actually buy the pink skin for Mercy, video games, guys. And all the proceeds go to breast cancer. But if you're not into video games, check out this one. It's from Black Milk. They're doing a second Labyrinth range. And I've got one with Ludo on it. One with the little worm that says, hello. Did you say hello? No, I said hello, but that's close enough. You know, all the ones from the Labyrinth. You know the movie, guys. The Labyrinth. Say it with me on 3. 1, 2, 3.
God
You remind me
The
of
Labyrinth,
oh,
Guillermo del Toro's masterpiece, Pan's Labyrinth.
Anyway, Black Milk's a Brisbane label where I'm from in Australia, so check them out.
Who
There's
do?
me.
You do. God,
You do what?
stop it. No.
Lightning.
15 seconds. Sam, you 15-second shout out.
I finally checked out season 2 of A Series of Unfortunate Events, and this is a very strange show where I enjoy it, but also, I wouldn't say I'm confused. It's not a home run, but I do enjoy it. So if you like the books, you're the only audience that are going to like that TV show. Go check it out.
Lightning, yeah.
Lightning.
And my 15-second shout out goes to Barry on HBO.
Yes.
Watch that show. It's Bill Hader's new show, but it's also by Alec Berg, who does Silicon Valley. It does one of the, like, if you didn't don't get on board in the first 2 episodes. It's not one of those ones where it's like give it 5. It's more just know that the show like it changes what comedy can be as a sitcom or whatever. It's very inconsistent with its tone, but in a way that you're like, yeah, this is real and it hurts and I'm laughing and it's so good.
Yeah.
Check out Barry. You know what? Let's move on to our trivia question. So we're going to hand out our previous answers and we're going to read each other's answers. If you need a reminder of what the trivia question is, it's going to be the big reveal here.
I am not reading this.
In Deadpool 2, Negasonic Teenage Warhead is referred to by nicknames like Justin Bieber and Eleven. What is the first nickname we hear Deadpool call her in the first Deadpool movie? This is Negasonic Teenage Warhead. To remind you, Sam.
Maude wrote Sinead O'Connor.
Sinead.
Well, you're going to go ahead and read my answer because it's the same one, but I wrote it the wrong way.
Okay. All right, so Sam says Sinead O'Connor.
Well, no,
Maude and I wrote
God.
it.
Sorry, Maude said Sinead O'Connor.
Picture lemonade, but Sinead.
Sam wrote Sinead O'Connor. Can you see that?
Don't pretend like this is not a dumb name. It's S.I. Where's the
Nothing-
sh from? There's a sh. I wrote a sh.
Get it close on Sam
Nothing
for how you.
compares
let's-
to how
there you
bad
go.
that spelling is.
All right, Tommy.
Well,
Good
you
joke.
get it.
Yeah. Sinead O'Connor. So if there's a debate about who got it more right, we'll know. Maude, who do you have? You have Tommy's?
Yeah, Tommy thinks it's Negasonic Skippy Teenage Warhead. Skippy.
Just Skippy.
Yeah, just like the fun
Let's call
nickname
it
Skippy. And then Filup, I want to stress, Filup wrote this.
Usually I get bleeped on this show, so it was cool that got bleeped.
Okay, judges,
went
who's
dark.
our winner?
The correct spelling of
Wait.
Sinead O'Connor.
The correct spelling of Sinead O'Connor.
No, it makes sense. I spelt it phonetically.
Shenanity.
Yeah. I mean, I think
hey,
she would
I'm,
like
I'm
it.
a fan of phonetic spelling, but no. And who's our loser? Skippy? No, me?
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, bud. We'll share that loss
I deserve it.
since I had to read it.
I deserve it. Tommy, you just want to do the jokes.
No, I don't.
But Maude, as our winner, is going to get to do the in other news headlines. So,
All right.
Maude, take it away.
Sweet. All right, the first
Okay.
story. Avengers Infinity War has passed Jurassic World to be the biggest summer movie of all time.
Avengers Infinity War has passed Jurassic World to be, I'm just repeating,
Yes.
to be the biggest summer movie of all time. Proving that Chris Pratt is actually lower in his overall Chris Hemsworth.
Oh.
Whoa.
That's a reach.
You
That's
got
a
that, though.
Maude
You
style
got that.
joke.
Hey, I love the pun. As two Chris's. It's like your Christianity was showing.
I would have
'cause
said
everyone
Thanos gave 2
worships.
snaps and made all the dinosaurs disappear.
Well, why don't you just be a loser?
What did
then?
I say? I was like, Tommy just wants to do that.
Story number 2.
I'm losing my blood again.
Ryan Reynolds made a surprise appearance on a Korean singing show singing Tomorrow, dressed in disguise as a unicorn. Hold on, was that Silverchair's Tomorrow or Annie from the musical?
Probably Annie.
I'm gonna
Oh,
put
right.
my
And thus, there's peace on the Korean Peninsula. Do you watch the news? Because it's in the news. It's in the news.
Hey, story number 3. Alfred Pennyworth, Batman's butler, will get his own 10-episode prequel series on the
saw this.
Epix network called Pennyworth, following Alfred in 1960s London as a British military officer.
Boo!
Not sure they're getting their pennies worth.
You know,
Yes.
and good thing it's being directed by Joel Schumacher, so we can get those sweet nipples on the butler suit.
I liked it.
Just
Joel
like-
I miss you,
Schumacher.
Eric.
Just like Deadpool 2.
Man.
a lot of swings.
Is there a more ironic
man.
network for it to be on than Epic?
The story number 4. Director Chris McKay shot down rumors that Zac Efron was in talks to play Nightwing. I thought they've already got the guy.
Oh, the other guy from the
Wait.
Instagram video.
Zac Efron Nightwing.
High School Lusical. that one.
Hang on. Give me a second. This is gonna pay off. Hang on.
I know what you're doing.
on.
I know what you're doing. It's not gonna pay off.
Stab.
Well, it was a real team effort. I want to thank our hosts, Sam Bashor.
Hello.
You can always find him at,
Sam Bashor.
and then there's me, and you can find me at Fimo, and then there's also Miss Maude Garrett,
At Maude Garrett, 2 R's, 2 T's.
and then I think that's everybody. Why do you have that queued up?
Can I have that out? I don't want that out.
Sure, fine. Tommy, where can we find you?
You can find me at Tommy Bechtold. The Party Zone. Stop on in the gram. Stop on the tweets. Find me on Facebook for pictures of my aunts and uncles.
Guys, comment down below about any of the topics that we discussed. Tweet at New Rockstars about things you want us to do. Like this video and share it around if you want to get bonus points for us.
Yeah.
But mostly, just again, make sure you're subscribed to this channel for the deep dives into the stuff you love. Otherwise, we'll probably just see you next week.
Yeah.
Bye.
Donate to
Bye.
my legal fund. I love you so much. Bye.
Or your blood fund.
Bye. I love you.
What's
Bye.
your blood type?
It's Q. Cute.
Yay, all right.
Cute.
Cute.